Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and today doing a Sacred Beast deck profile. So I'm really excited to do some for you guys because we finally have opening of the Spirit Gates back to 3, making it super consistent to summon out your Sacred Beast monsters. So without further ado, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon in the description below for all those awesome rewards. Like getting your name scratched in a single video, getting assigned cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month to your Patreon. Without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're playing 2 copies of Raviel, Lord of Phantasms. This card is an absolutely massive boss monster that comes out at 4,000 attack points, and it's super easy to summon out to your side of the field. And each time your opponent normal summons a monster, you get to special summon a Phantasm token to your side of the field. It's a Fiend Dark, level 1, 1,000 attack, and 1,000 defense, but it cannot declare an attack. And also, once per turn, you can treat a monster, and this card gains attack equal to treat a monster's original attack until the end of this turn, making this card get absolutely massive. We then play 2 copies of Hamon, Lord of Striking Thunder. Hamon is really good as a 2-of in the build and super easy to summon in this deck as well. This card has a really cool ability that if this card destroys an opponent's monster by battle and sends it to the graveyard, you can inflict 1,000 points of damage to your opponent. And while this card is in face-up defense position, monsters your opponent control cannot target monsters for attacks except for this card. We then play a single copy of Uriah. Uriah is really important in the deck so we can summon out our copy of Armatile. This card is really good in the deck as a 1-of, but you're usually just using this card to summon out your copy of Armatile with your fusion cards. We then play 3 copies of Dark Beckoning Beast. Dark Beckoning Beast is extremely important as a 3-of in the deck. This card has the ability, when this card is normal summon, you can add one of your Sacred Beast cards or a card that mentions them in its text from your deck to your hand, except another copy of this card. And also during your main phase, you can normal summon a Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense in addition to your normal summoner set, which is a crazy powerful effect to help you swarm the board. We then play 3 copies of Chaos Summoning Beast. Chaos Summoning Beast is definitely a 3-of as well, as this card is the ability to contribute this card to special summon one of your Sacred Beast monsters from your hand, ignoring their summoning conditions. And you can banish this card from the graveyard to add a Fallen Paradise from your deck to your hand, which is an insane field spell that protects your Sacred Beast and also lets you draw 2 cards every single turn. We then play 2 copies of Dark Summoning Beast. Dark Summoning Beast is definitely a 2-of in the build and helps you summon out your Sacred Beast monsters, as this card has the ability that you can actually tribute this card to special summon one of your Sacred Beast monsters from your hand or deck, ignoring their summoning conditions. Also, monsters you control cannot attack for the rest of this turn. This card also has a crazy powerful effect that you can banish this card in the graveyard to add one of your Sacred Beasts from your deck to your hand, which is a really cool effect to instantly get to the exact Sacred Beast that we need. We then play a single copy of Phantasmal Summoning Beast. This card is a great 1-of in the build and a really cool combo piece because this card lets you tribute this card to add one of your Sacred Beast monsters from your deck or graveyard to your hand. Then you can special summon a level 10 Pyro Thunder Fiend monster from your hand whose original attack equals its own defense, ignoring its summoning condition, but it cannot attack directly this turn, basically summoning out one of your Sacred Beasts to your side of the field, which is a really cool ability. You can also banish this card in the graveyard to add a Dimension Fusion Destruction from your deck to your hand, which will instantly get our fusion spell from our deck to our hand so we can summon another copy of our Armatile. We then play 2 copies of Gruesome Grave Squirmer. This card is just a really good extender overall in the deck. This card has the ability, if you control a Fiend monster, quick effect, you can special summon this card from your hand, which is an awesome ability to instantly get this card out on your side of the field. You can also banish this card from the graveyard to special summon a Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense from your hand or graveyard, except another copy of this card which will help you link climb in this deck, making this card a definite 2-of in the build. We then play a single copy of Shavara. Shavara just works really well in basically any Fiend deck to help you link climb into your Unchained cards, and it's overall just a fantastic card in the build. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is definitely a 3-of in the deck to basically just stop your opponent from touching the deck. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to start with a single copy of Terraforming. Terraforming is really good in the deck because we actually play 2 different field spells in this build. We then play a single copy of Set Rotation because we also play 2 different field spells in this build just to help the consistency of this deck. We then play a single copy of Foolish Burial. Foolish Burial is great as a 1-of in the build to help us get the exact card we need in the graveyard. We then play a single copy of Dimension Fusion Destruction. This card is awesome as a 1-of in the build to help us summon another copy of Armatal, because you can banish from your hand, field, and or graveyard the fusion materials that are listed on a Phantasmal Fusion monster, then special summon that fusion monster from your X deck, ignoring its summoning conditions. You also take no battle damage from attacks involving the monster special summoned by this effect. And if you control a Uriah, Haman, and a Raviel, you and your opponent cannot activate cards or effects in response to this card's activation, which is insane. If you control any one of the Sacred Beasts, they cannot activate cards when you activate this card, basically making it a speed spell for fusion spell to summon out Armatal. We then make a single copy of Cerulean Skyfire. I actually did consider playing a second copy of this card. It works really well in this deck to work with your copy of Haman, and this card has the ability to special summon out your copy of Haman using its own procedure. You also can use face down spell cards you control, and once per turn, while you control an attack position copy of Haman, you can negate any spell or trap card activated by your opponent, then change a copy of Haman that you control to defense position, and if a face-up Uriah, Haman, or Raviel that you control leaves the field, you take no damage this turn, which is a really cool ability for this card to have. We then play 2 copies of Fallen Paradise. Fallen Paradise is an extremely powerful field spell. It is searchable off your copy of Chaos Beast, which is really cool. And this card has the ability that your opponent cannot target Uriah, Haman, Raviel, or Armatal in your monster zone with card effects, and also they cannot be destroyed by your opponent's card effects either. Also, while you control them on your side of the field, if you control a copy of Uriah, Haman, Raviel, or Armatal in your monster zone, you can draw 2 cards every single turn that's your turn, which is crazy powerful to help you dig into the deck to keep getting some insane cards to help you go in for game. This card is awesome in the deck, but it's so searchable that I feel like 2 is really all you need. We then play 3 copies of Nightmare Throne. Nightmare Throne is basically Rhoda for this deck, because when this card is activated, you can take a Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense from your deck and either add it to your hand or destroy, which you're always just adding it to your hand. This card is just insane in the deck as a 3-of to instantly get to any of your cards that you need, and it's a really cool 3-of in the build. We then play 3 copies of Opening of the Spirit Gates. I'm so glad that this card is finally back at 3. It didn't deserve to go to 1. It's really cool in the deck, and it's basically the Rhoda for the build, and it has a really cool ability. Now, when this card is activated, you get to add one of your Sacred Beast cards or a monster that specifically lists any of them in its text from your deck to your hand, which is a great ability to instantly grab the exact card that you need. Also, once per turn, you can discard a card to special summon a Fiend monster with 0 attack and defense from your graveyard. And also, once per turn, if you control a level 10 monster, you can add a continuous spell from your graveyard to your hand, which is a pretty interesting effect that we really don't use, but it's great in this build to be able to use, to basically just grab your copy of your Fiend monster out of the graveyard with that reborn effect by just discarding a card. You can bring back your Fiend monster and help you go in for more plays. So that's it for the spells, guys. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to start with a single copy of Abominable Chamber. Abominable Chamber is really good for our Unchained cards and works with another copy of Shavara. This card lets us special summon an Unchained monster from our hand or graveyard, and if this set card is destroyed by card effect, you can special summon an Unchained monster from your deck, which is an awesome ability to instantly grab the exact card that you need. We then play a single copy of Angel Statue. Angel Statue is awesome in the deck as a 1-of to be able to work with our copy of Syl Hat Rabbit, and this card is a great trap monster to be able to use to instantly lock down your opponent, because this card can block a special summon. We then play 2 copies of Awakening of the Sacred Beast. This card is insane because depending on the amount of Sacred Beasts you control depends on the effects that this card gets. This card gains effects based on the number of the Sacred Beasts that you control, which is a really cool ability because for the 1 effect, if you only control 1, each time your opponent normally special summons a monster, you gain life points equal to that monster's original attack points, or the attack points of that monster, which is a really cool effect. If you control 2, negate the activated effects of monsters your opponent controls, basically being a one-sided skill drain. If you control 3, any monsters sent to the graveyard to your opponent's graveyard graveyard is banished instead, basically being a macrocosmos, which is insane. This card is just going to banish all the cards, which is so cool, any of those monsters. And also this card has the ability once per turn, if you control a copy of a level 10 monster, you can add a continuous trap from your graveyard to your hand, which you can actually recover your copy of your angel statue, which is really cool to instantly grab your copy of angel statue back out of the graveyard. We then play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is definitely a 3-of in the build to basically just use this card to stop your opponent's monster effects and also lock down entire columns of spells and traps. It's a great 3-of hand trap in the build, and it's a really cool card overall. So that's going to do it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, guys, we're going to start with a single copy of Armityle, the Phantom of Fury. This card is definitely a 1-of in the build, and the first card you're going to be summoning off the copy of Dimension Fusion Destruction. This card is a really cool card that requires all 3 of your Sacred Beast cards, and this card's name becomes Armityle while it's on your side of the field, and once per turn during your main phase, you give control of this card to your opponent. And once per turn during the end phase, if this card's control was changed this turn, banish all cards you control, and then the owner of this card special summons the original Armityle from the extract, ignoring its summoning conditions, so you can OTK your opponent. This card is awesome because you basically hand it to your opponent, and then once you hand it over to your opponent, it's basically during the end phase going to banish every single card off your opponent's side of the field, and then we get to summon out Armityle to our side of the field and then go in for game. We'll make a single copy of the original Armityle. This card basically just goes to 10,000 attack points, which is insane, and I love that about this card. This card gains 10,000 attack points during your turn only, which is a crazy powerful effect. And like a single copy of the Final Bringer of End of Times. This card is basically a walking negate and can pop multiple cards on the field, which is super cool about this card, and it's a really cool card overall that you want to end on. You can play a single copy of Gustav Max. Gustav Max is great because this card can do 2,000 points of burn damage to your opponent. Play a single copy of Zeus. Zeus is great to help you board wipe the field. It's overall just a fantastic card. We made a single copy of Typhon. Typhon is amazing in this deck as a 1. It's basically just used, and it's a really cool card overall in this deck because if you do go second, you can summon this card out. It's a walking skill drain for 3,000 or higher attack points, and it's a bounce, which is really awesome. We made a single copy of Unchained Abomination. Unchained Abomination is such an awesome boss monster. You can pop 3 cards on the field for absolutely no reason. And this card, if a card on the field is destroyed by a card effect, except by this card's effect, you get to target a card on the field and destroy it. When another monster is destroyed by battle, you guessed it, target a card on the field and destroy it. And during the end phase, just because, target a card on the field and destroy it. It's insane. It's really cool to climb into this card, and it's an awesome boss monster for the deck. Play a single copy of Anguish. Anguish is really good because you can basically use this card to link climb. Play a single copy of Unicorn to spin stuff, which is very important for the build, especially when you get Fiend locked. And play a single copy of Yama. Yama is really good in the deck as a 1-of. As if this card is special, you get to add an Unchained monster from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is usually going to grab your copy of Shavara, so you can basically start going in for your Unchained plays in this deck. We'll play a single copy of Rage. Rage is an insane card that's a quick effect to help you link summon, which is really cool using your opponent's cards, which is crazy powerful to help you climb into cards like Unicorn, Anguish, or even SP Little Knight. Speaking of SP Little Knight, we also play a single copy of SP, which is basically a double interruption. It's a really cool card overall in the deck. Play a single copy of Silhouette Hat Rabbit. Silhouette Hat Rabbit is great so we can set our copy of our Angel statue. Play a single copy of Mudracker. Mudracker is just a really good combo piece overall that can help you bring back your Fiend monsters from the graveyard. And then finally, a single copy of Alamirage. Alamirage is amazing in this deck as a 1-of, and it's just a really good combo piece overall in the deck to be able to use, so you can basically climb into other Link monsters. So, that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you enjoyed. This deck is super fun to be able to play. If you guys have never played a Sacred Beast deck before, you should definitely give this deck a try because it's so fun to be able to play, and it's an insane deck. It's super nostalgic and can summon out absolutely awesome boss monsters to help you go in for games. So, that's good for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.